we got to get into news you missed for this week. And the first item that I wanted to bring up is because we can't go a week without talking about Ken Ham.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, you remember me talking last week how they've been approved for the, let's see, I think they were approved for what, like 18 million or something like that?
I don't remember, but it was an exorbitant amount of money.
So anyway, despite the, let's see, despite the report that was provided by the Hunden Research Group, which showed that this theme park, and I've been trolling them hard. I've been trolling Ken Ham's group, Answers in Genesis, hard on Twitter recently. They're only going to receive about 325,000 visitors in the first year of business. That's it.
Shocking.
That's it.
Shocking, really.
That's all. That's all they're going to receive in the first year of them being open. We have a local theme park here called Lagoon that I'm sure gets at least twice that every fucking year. And we're in Utah. What's your excuse, Kentucky? So in the first year of business, the Kentucky Tourism Development Finance Authority voted 7-0 to approve the Ark Encounter for up to $18 million in tax rebates. Let's see. We didn't believe that the park was going to be getting the full amount, but the theocrats who run the state of Kentucky have set out to disappoint everybody once again in the state of Kentucky. But the interesting thing is, and this is from, I believe, Dan Errol's post, because he's been tracking this hardcore this whole time, that Hemant Mehta from the Friendly Atheist blog found something interesting about the vote. He said, a state board restocked last week with new appointees by Governor Matt Bevin has quietly approved the long-sought tax incentives worth up to $18 million.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Due to open this summer in Grant County. And he said that just last week, Bevin changed the makeup of the board's authority, replacing 4 of the members and reappointing 1. So they are, like, gerrymandering all of this shit. And what really bugs me is that this Bevin guy is a Tea Party Republican.
Mm-hmm.
They should be like less money on this.
No. The Tea Party Republicans are goddamn hypocrites at their soul.
Oh yeah, to their very core.
Come on, atheists. Like, we can use the word soul poetically.
Yes, we can. It's artistic license with words, people. It's a pretty word.
I mean, in their core being, that is the essence of themselves, which is not a literal concept, but a metaphorical concept.
Yeah, and there's going to be somebody out there be like, well, I don't like that word. It invokes religion. Shut up.
No. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's a metaphorical concept.
Oh, I know.
That means encompassing the being of a person.
You know, there's just no pleasing a lot of people in the atheist community.
I'm fully aware.
So Bevin
in their soul, the libertarians that are the Tea Party people are not actual libertarians, which are open-minded and separation of church and state and all that. No. What they are
is hard right
extremists. Yeah, they're extremists in the hard right of the Christian right.
Yeah,
where they demand privilege.
But the last little bit of this article is really the reason I picked this one up, and because Dan Errol's a poet with words. He said, Kentucky is becoming the state where the establishment clause goes to die.
Yep.
And really is. So that brings us to the next Ken Ham little bit of news. And I'm not trying to make this all about him, but he has interesting shit going on. This is from Raw Story. Let's see. A creationist Ken Ham took to Twitter to rage at the quote-unquote secularists whom he thinks want to suppress the wickedness of man by making fun of his tax-funded religious entertainment center. It's because you're opening a park based on a provably false fucking story. It's so easily proven false and just...
It's demonstrably false.
So Ken Ham, we all know who he is. Heads up Answers in Genesis, Christian. But you don't need the textbook definition. You know what he believes: a 6,000-year-old Earth and all that stuff. So he said on Twitter on Monday that he was complaining about non-believers making moral judgments that he believes mocks God's words.
Oh.
God wanted you to open a theme park. Don't you think there are better ways for your ministry to reach people?
Bible? Why should I believe your Bible? Like, I actually got a Christian stumped with that shit. I'm like, okay, so why should I believe that one?
Yeah.
He's like,
because it's in there.
It said so, and I'm like, and I'm saying it's not real.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. What What, bitch?
So on Twitter, he said, secularists accuse God of being immoral as he judged at the flood, but ignore the fact that they've no absolute basis to make any moral judgment. Because there is no such thing as absolute morality.
There actually is not. At a certain level, you come to objective morality, or subjective morality. There is no such thing as objective.
There is morality that works for us at this time right now, which in the future somebody would be like, nope, that's immoral too, which is how morality changes. There is no fucking absolute morality.
No,
when you're like, you should never kill.
There are times TED Talk that said that we can absolutely judge morality based on scientific information.
Yeah.
If we are basing that morality on what causes the most good and the least harm, we can actually measure that.
Exactly. You should do as least harm as possible, and that's where your morality should come from. That's where it comes from in all of us, because we go, we're empathetic beings. We can see how this might affect somebody else. Jeez.
But it's so much more than that. It's not just how it can affect somebody else.
It's just so simple, though. It's simple. It doesn't have to be plate written on by a bush in the fucking mountains that some old dude that didn't actually escape Egypt gave down to the people that weren't actually there to begin with. It's ridiculous. So he also continued with his secularists mark at an Ark encounter because they want to suppress the wickedness of man and that we're all under judgment by holy God.
Oh, let him come for me. Let him come.
Go ahead and judge me. I could judge you right fucking back, you Yahweh, you piece of shit.
If I am wrong and the Christian God is correct, which all science proves to not being true, if I am completely wrong and he judges me immoral for, by the way, doing my active best to not cause harm.
Yeah.
Like, my active best to not cause any harm. But because I have premarital sex, like if that,
yeah, go ahead and judge me for that shit. Yeah.
Like if that's really what he's gonna come after me at,
I'm gonna continue to eat my shellfish.
And he sends me to hell for that shit. I already have a plan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, Satan, dude. Come on, like you're bad. I love you, and whatever you need to defeat this this overbearing
cock gobbler.
Absolutely, like just this immoral dictator fuck.
Yeah.
Who would rather punish people for the free will that he demanded rather than save everyone. I will not participate. Let us take this motherfucker down.
So Ken Ham also says that they don't want to acknowledge, secularists again, they are in need of the Ark of Salvation. Noah's Ark is a picture of Jesus. Which made me want to go, I wish I had Photoshop skills, because I would go and find a picture of Jesus and replace it with that fucking incomplete Ark that they've got in Kentucky right now. I'd be like, look, I found Jesus. Wait, that's a picture of Jesus with the Ark for his face. Nope. This Ken Ham guy says, nope, the Ark is a picture of Jesus.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, because well, never mind. He fucking contradicts himself in the book anyway, so.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
I hate this fucking man. I really do. Let's see. What else did we have happen this week? We had Tyler Glenn come on the local radio station and renounce being a Mormon anymore.
Yes, we did.
That was pretty fucking awesome. And that
was amazing.
I'll probably play it at the end of the show here for the people listening on the podcast. But Tyler Glenn from the Neon Trees released a song this week called Trash, where he actively, in the video, like, they defaced a whole bunch of like pictures of Joseph Smith and Book of Mormon and everything, and he showed
goddamn time, buddy.
And he showed the secret handshakes inside the elevator in the video. You really need to go check it out. It's on rollingstone.com.
Yeah, no, he opened up to the reality that
he finally broke the cognitive dissonance. He finally broke through it.
He finally broke through.
And he said something really shocking on the radio, which I happen to agree with a lot, where he's like, yeah, I came to this realization that none of this is true, and if they don't want me, I don't want anything to fucking do with them. I mean, he didn't say that, but I'm paraphrasing here. And he's like, it's strange, because here I'm 32, and you think you would have all of this stuff worked out by now.
Nah.
And so it's like, yeah, welcome to the fold, man. There's a lot of people that don't reach, being secular until their late 60s and stuff like that. Because you imagine how robbed you would feel at that point in your life. I mean, I feel relatively happy because I figured it out a lot somewhat earlier. I mean, I'm not like 20. I was anything like that. It was probably late 20s when I finally was like atheist, loud and proud out there.
I can't remember the moment where I decided I was an atheist. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember the moment at all. It was just somewhere along the line I realized it.
I remember holy shit, there is no God. I remember that eureka moment for me.
I remember telling my grandma, I don't believe Jesus was divine. Like, I remember that moment.
How dare you.
She went to my father. This is my Catholic grandma. Okay, I say that, but she also is like, gay people should be married. Like I have no answers here. But I went to her and said, she called me a Christian. And I said, no, I'm not.
No,
She said,
really.
yes, you are. And I said, no, Grandma, the definition of a Christian is one who believes that Christ is the Son of God. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that the guy who you called Jesus was the Son of God. And so she like flipped the fuck out and went to my dad and was like, yeah, she's gonna
need to correct your child.
Yeah, and so I remember that moment, but I don't remember the moment in which I realized I lacked a belief. Because the moment I told my grandma that I didn't believe, that I was not a Christian, I still was a
somewhat theist, yeah.
A theist?
You were, as everybody likes to say, I wasn't atheist. I was agnostic.
No. I would not even claim that title. I was pagan, but I didn't necessarily. It's complex.
It's complicated.
Basically, I believed in magic. Is basically
Well,
I was going to sum it up. So I can't say that I was an atheist because I believed in something greater, like some magic greater than myself. I do still believe in a real world concept of things greater than myself. But
so let's see. I'm going to move along in the news here. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. No, I was just saying, like,
I was watching. I just want to add one little thing in there. When you're talking about Catholic, that reminded me. I was watching Fear the Walking Dead before we did the show tonight, and there's a part where a kid finds a rosary like in this like suitcase, and he gets back to his family and he hands the rosary to like someone that's on the boat with him, and I'm like, I said out loud with my wife next to me, I'm like, oh, how nice, a torture device for somebody was killed. That's just wonderful. That's a great gift.
Yeah.
I hate there's so many people that see a crucifix and they're like, oh, that's so wonderful. That's great. And I'm like, yo, that's a shitty way to die.
Yeah, it's a super terrible way to die.
So in Germany, they have finally made it so circumcising young boys for religious reasons amounts to bodily harm.
The shit you say, that's amazing.
So guess who is pissed off about this? I mean, Christians probably would get pissed off about it, but who's like hardcore into dick cutting? You have your Jewish people and you have your Jewish
Muslims.
The second Muslims, where they're really pissed off about it, and the court said that a child's right to physical integrity trumps religious and parental rights.
Indeed, it fucking
That's
does.
awesome. That's fucking great. So the case involved a doctor who carried out a circumcision on a 4-year-old that led to medical complications.
No, the shit you say?
No, you mean, it's something that any kind of surgery, even if it's just lopping off a little, calamari ring at the very end, it still could cause fucking horrible problems with the person.
There's no reason to remove the foreskin. Come on, guys.
And so it says here in the article, although male circumcision, unlike female circumcision, is not illegal in Germany, the court's judgment said that the fundamental right of the child to bodily integrity outweighed the fundamental rights of the parents. So,
all right, now here's why female circumcision is worse. It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
No question about that.
No. Now, as somebody who absolutely is 100% against circumcision for males. Male circumcision at birth is bad. It's a bad.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. Objectively speaking, female circumcision is worse.
Yeah, because it's
Guys.
like cutting off the entire glands. It's
No, 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 false. No.
and then some.
There's a miscommunication about this. So there are levels of female genital mutilation in which there's variations where they if you were talking strictly circumcision, it is removing the clitoral hood, which is just cruel, man.
Yeah, no,
Did you know?
You need that.
Many people don't know this, but although the clitoris, like a penis, engorges and expands during sexual intercourse, it does not actually expand past the hood, and that is because the glands of the clitoris is it has the nerve density of like 4,000 more nerve endings, so it's like wicked sensitive.
Ah!
Yeah, so like that clitoral hood is
Lightning
like
bolt.
it feels good. It like that's a good thing. Like you don't need to be like directly exposed to the clitoris. You really, really don't. Unless she's into it, and if she's into it, great, go for it. But you can pull back the clitoral hood, which is a foreskin, by the way. Same endometrial tissue, same thing.
Yeah.
So you can pull it back, but you don't have to. But the thing is that if you do remove entirely that clitoral hood, you basically kill your clitoris.
Because it's too much. It's too much sensation.
Yeah, so that is strictly circumcision, is just the removal of the hood, which is akin to the foreskin. And I'm all for foreskin.
Yeah.
Luckily, in the Western world, we've decided we're not doing that. We're just not cutting that. Great. Fan-fucking-tastic. That's a good idea. In other parts of the world, and the one episode where I had to like walk the fuck away was female genital mutilation. There are certain levels of that in which they remove the labia, they remove the clitoris, the clitoral glands, because the reality is that the clitoris extends
below the surface.
Sorry, this is a very complex the subject. So the penis actually has roots that attach to the pelvic bone, and that's how you can achieve an actual erection. I wish you guys could see the video if you're not watching it, because there. So the
She's
penis
about to break out charts.
the penis actually has like these wonderful, fabulous roots, and they attach right onto the pelvic bone, and they allow a grounding for the fabulous thing that is the erection. And that sounded slightly sarcastic because I've been drinking, but it was not, because I love erections.
And we're getting blueberries, so.
Yes, I know, but I feel like this is an important subject.
No,
so
go ahead.
So the clitoris also achieves an erection of some sort, where the two cavernous bodies that fill with blood and the glands are remarkably sensitive. But because it's so tiny, 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 it does not need to ground. So the clitoris actually just expands beneath the vagina. Like, it's just like this big old organ. It's not actually that big, but it's big enough that it like that is sexual pleasure for women, is the clitoris, not just the glands. But if you remove the glands, that is it's bad. It's bad. Don't remove the glands.
I've seen some hentai. I've seen some hentai with expanded clitorises.
Let's just make a general rule and not remove the glands. But the level of female genital mutilation in certain parts of the world goes not just to removing the glands, but to removing the labia, both inner and outer. Yeah.
Gross. That's bad. That's terrible.
That's terrible.
So
it goes a step further. They sew the actual vaginal opening halfway shut.
Gross. So there was a guy that is the president of Germany's Central Council of Jews. What a weird fucking title to have.
That is a weird title.
His name is Dieter Graumann. He said that it is a unprecedented and dramatic intervention in the right of religious communities to self-determination. Nope, sorry. Your ideas do not trump people's rights.
That's just it though, is that your religious rights do not get to determine for your baby.
Yeah.
You
So
assholes.
he said he urged the country's parliament to clarify the legal situation to protect religious freedom against attacks. So we were not the only country dealing with this whole protect my religious freedom shit.
Ah!
So this tells me that religion, at least in the civilized world, is in the fucking death throes. It is so close to being just not apparent.
It's dying.
Not
It's a dying thing. It's a dying thing.
Yeah.
Woo woo!
So let's see.
Save our foreskins.
Save them. Let's see. There was a particularly horrendous story coming out of Oklahoma, and this will be the last one before we cut to break. Have you heard about the Oklahoma court decision where the state law doesn't criminalize oral sex with a victim who is completely unconscious?
Okay, I heard about this, but you need to expand because Snopes said that was not the moral intention. But here's the thing about Snopes is that they like. I love Snopes. Don't get me wrong. Snopes is fantastic, but they basically use the information that is presented to them, but that does not indict the undermining causes of passing the law.
So it was a ruling by a unanimous decision by the state's criminal appeals court is sparking outrage, who says that the judicial system is engaged in victim blaming and buying outdated notions about rape.
Agreed.
So legal experts and victim advocates said that they viewed the ruling as a sign of something larger, the troubling gaps that still exist between the nation's patchwork of laws and evolving ideas about rape and consent. So it involved, the allegations were that a 17-year-old boy assaulted a girl who was 16 after volunteering to give her a ride home. Two of them had been drinking in a park in Oklahoma with a group of friends, and it became clear that the girl was really badly intoxicated to the point where she had to be carried to the other guy's car. And another guy who briefly rode in the car recalled her coming in and out of consciousness. So the boy brought the girl to her grandmother's house, and while still unconscious, the girl was taken to a hospital where a test put her blood alcohol content at above 0.34, which is
Holy shit,
yeah, like
man.
four times that thing. So she awoke as staff were concluding the sexual assault examination. Tests would confirm that the young man's DNA was found on the back of her leg and around her mouth. The boy claimed to investigators that the girl had consented to performing oral sex. The girl said she didn't have any memories after leaving the park, and the prosecutors charged the young man with forcible oral sodomy. If she's drunk, she cannot give consent.
I agree. I agree. She can't.
You get consent
unless
before.
previously established,
Yes.
like in a married couple.
And even then, that's not always a yes, you know?
No, it's not. But I also can understand how I don't want to victim blame. I'm not victim blaming. I want to make this perfectly fucking clear that if she is uncomfortable with the situation, she is perfectly allowed to be uncomfortable with the situation. But when all parties are drinking, I can see why we have a problem in our judicial system saying that the male did something wrong as well. If she can't remember, and this is horrid and it's awful and I'm so sorry, if she can't remember anything, and humans are remarkably easily prone to sex, because we are, I can see how I love our young men. I really do. It sounds to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like this young man wanted to get blown.
Well, the thing is that she was really drunk. And
right.
he obviously was not drunk enough that he couldn't drive, and drunk enough to make moves and stuff like that. So the hang on, what does it say here? The decision reads that forcible sodomy cannot occur where a victim is so intoxicated as to be completely unconscious at the time of the sexual act. So it's trying to say, oh, well, she was blacked out, so it's not, you can't call it that.
And see, that's false.
Yeah.
That is absolutely 100% false. I just don't want to make the young man who it seems to me was not trying to force anything.
And so the court said that its reasoning, the court said, was that the statute listed several circumstances that constitute force, but was silent on incapacitation due to drinking alcohol. We will not, in order to justify prosecution of a person for an offense, enlarge a statute beyond the fair meaning of its language. So it's a bad language in the law that kept this from being getting the decision that they wanted. So,
see, here's the problem with it, is that human sex and sexuality is so remarkably complex that our law has not caught up with it yet.
No. And Benjamin Fu, who is the district attorney in Tulsa County, the attorney leading the case, said that the ruling had him gobsmacked. The plain meaning of forcible oral sodomy of using force includes taking advantage of a victim who was too intoxicated to consent.
And this is where the education of our youth is like, hey, have you been drinking and have you not had sex with this person previously? Maybe you shouldn't be having sex.
You shouldn't be doing things like that because...
And this goes back to the concept of virginity. Oral sex is sex.
Yeah,
all right, guys?
It is. I don't believe that anybody until that day believed that the state of the law was that this kind of conduct was ambiguous, much less legal. And I don't think the law was a loophole until the court decided it was. So technically, you get somebody drunk enough, you can either blow them or slick them as much as you want. So
and that is the problem with the law, not necessarily the case in point. The case in point could have been, oh my God, way too many factors, right?
Yeah, and there's like 17 other paragraphs of
and
like what
this
people are
is
saying.
Not in any way blaming the victim.
No.
I don't want to blame the victim in any way, shape, or form because obviously somebody cared enough to take her to the hospital, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
No.
That's alcohol poisoning levels of fucking drunk.
Yeah, no,
0.34. Wow.
Holy shit balls. No. But here's the thing about some people are really bad at judging how drunk somebody else is.
Well, you also have to keep in mind these are like 16-year-olds, and so they don't know drinking from their tits at that age. You know?
And the hormones are ridiculous, yo.
I can remember my first attempts at drinking. You know, I was much older than 16, but like I didn't know where to limit and how long to wait for something to kick in. So you got really fucking drunk, blackout drunk. So I don't necessarily want to, in this particular situation, to and again, this is a very particular situation, to say that the young man in question was doing a wrong thing, because we don't know, and she can't remember, so innocent until proven guilty, and not victim blaming. She did nothing wrong. It just goes to show that the courts have a ways to catch up to actual real people. You know? Right,
but when we come to the courts and they say, well, if they were so drunk they can't remember, no harm, no foul. No,
no, that doesn't work.
No fault.
And unfortunately, that brings us to the part where we need to cut it short here and go to our first break. We're going to be back with Fun with Real Audio here in a second, so be right back. This is X, and this is Felicia, Utah Outcast. Be right back.